As our story opens today, there is a great deal of excitement in Frostbite Falls. Excitement that seems to center about today's issue of the daily paper, the Picayune Intelligence.
Say, this is news, Caleb.
And we better do something about it.
Yes, even in Frostbite Falls, the citizens respond to the challenges of the outside world and its geopolitical machinations.
Geopolitical macros, my eye. I'm talking about the annual flower show.
But, sir, those front page headlines.
Don't mean a thing. The Picayune Intelligence has had the same front page for 15 years.
The same front page?
Why not? It's always the same stories. Cold War continues, plane crashes, world tensions.
But inside, that's local stuff. That's interesting.
Frostbite Falls dog chases Frostbite Falls cat over Frostbite Falls fence. Frostbite Falls boy meets Frostbite Falls girl.
Just fraught with interest, ain't it?
But for real heart-tugging suspense, look at this.
Wowee! The annual Frostbite Falls Flower Fair and Plant Pageant will be held in the high school gymnasium today.
First prize, a trip for two to glamorous Wichita, Kansas. How about that, Bullwinkle?
It's gonna play the dickens with my hopscotch schedule.
Bullwinkle, you mean you don't have a flower ready to enter?
Rock, I don't even have one ready to come up.
It was true. Bullwinkle had been so busy being a TV hero that he had no chance to tend his little garden. The flowers were in terrible shape.
I think they've lost the will to live.
Then it's too late to plant anything now.
Well, let's take your flower to the show anyway.
So bearing Rocky's entry, a checkered begonia, our heroes started down the Old Ox Road seeking horticultural splendor.
Not me. I just want a big flower.
A big flower? Did I hear you said a big flower?
No, I said horticultural splendor.
Not you, him.
Oh.
Sure, I want to grow a big flower.
Well, are you ever in love?
I am?
Certainly. You see before you in the living natural color flesh the greatest seed seller in the world.
A seed seller?
That anything like a salt cellar?
Say, what's your name, mister?
Allow me to introducing myself. Pete McMoss, President, Worldwide Seed Company.
Pete McMoss?
And hello, Sco, Pete McMoss. This is my assistant, Ivy C. Hall.
Hello, darling.
What's the C for?
Covered?
Ivy-covered halls. Yeah, her I've heard of.
That voice! Where have I heard that voice?
Rock, that was me.
Oh, yeah.
And here is the answer to all your problems.
That's just one seed.
One seed?
One seed?
You notice kind of an echo in here?
My dear Moose, this seed is a direct descendant from the original Jack's beanstalk.
It is?
Certainly. Look here. You remember how in the old story Jack planted the magic beans and they grew clean up to the sky?
And there was a giant's castle?
And the mean giant chased Jack?
And he cut down the beanstalk and destroyed the giant.
And lived happily ever after.
Why are you crying?
I hate happy endings. Well, this is a seed from that very same beanstalk. Plant it and you'll be able to grow a bean blossom as big as your head.
That'd win first prize for sure. Okay.
Bullwinkle, I don't like this.
How come?
I got a feeling something bad's gonna happen.
Well, look on the bright side of it, Rock.
What?
We got a whole new plot started already.
True enough, and we'll see it begin to thicken next time in 4 for the Show or 2 Pairs of Plants.
And now it's time for...
5 or 6 baritone solos in the key of E.
But
Midnight. Oh!
now for another of our special features.
Should have tried E flat.
Excuse me, little boy. Have you seen my son?
Pop, I am your son.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You don't look anything
But
like
Pop,
my...
it's me,
It's
Junior.
Well, Plupertus Juvius it is. Would you mind telling me, young man, how you got into this condition?
Well, you see, Pop, me and the other kids were playing a game.
What game?
It's called Mud. You see...
Never mind. I'd rather not hear about it. How many times have I told you, son, a happy home is a neat home?
But I'm a boy, Dad, not a home.
The adage still applies. Perhaps if I related a fable illustrating it, you'd understand more clearly. You're sure you're my son?
It's me.
Well, many years ago, there was a hut in the forest. No one had lived in this hut for 20 years. Then one day, a tiger and his wife came along in search of a new abode.
Well, it ain't Frank Lloyd Wright, but it'll do.
Do what?
Never mind, kitten. It's been a long day.
And with that, they went inside and set up housekeeping. Like most tigers, they had good habits and bad habits. Telling you about their good habits would make a very uninteresting fable, so we shall dwell on their bad habits. The worst of which was eating a meal and then throwing the bones out of the window.
You know what I want for Christmas, Tiger Baby? A garbage disposal.
What do you need a garbage disposal for when you got a window?
But 6 months later, that question came up again.
You know what I want for Christmas, Tiger Baby? A room with a view.
Yes, by now the bones had piled so high they blocked the window.
Here, take this shovel and go bury the bones.
I got a better idea. You take the shovel and go bury the bones.
That settled it. The bones stayed right where they were. Unable to throw them out the window, they were now forced to throw them out the door. And in less than a year, they were completely hemmed in.
Tiger Baby, I got a bone to pick with you.
You're bugged by our present existence, right?
Right. Either the bones go or I go.
Bye, sweetie.
Gathering her few possessions, Mrs. Tiger prepared to bid her husband farewell. And that's when they heard the strange noise. Katz being curious, he clawed his way out the window to investigate, and what he saw was a rare bone-eating porcupine.
Unpack, kitten. Our problems are over.
What do you mean?
Well, like Aesop said, there's a rare bone-eating porcupine out there, and you'll have us deboned by morning.
Greatly relieved, the two tigers retired, but not for long.
Tiger Baby, go tell that porcupine to chew softer.
All right, kitten.
Yow! What'd he say?
Well, he didn't say much, but I did get the point.
Well, look, I'd rather be boned in than lose a night's sleep. Get rid of the porcupine.
All right, kitten.
In back of the grass hut was a high cliff, and on top of that cliff, the tiger found a heavy anvil.
All I gotta do is push this anvil over the ledge and... pow! No more porcupine.
Taking careful aim, he summoned all his animal strength and... over it went.
That takes care of that. I guess that takes care of you. Oh, I must have missed. Honey, have you seen a... Where'd you get the new hat?
I can see right now that if I want anything done, I have to do it myself. Pick up the cannonball.
Yes, kitten.
Put it into the cannon.
Yes, kitten. By the way, what are we doing?
I'll get that porcupine into the cannon and we'll blast him clear out of the county.
Lighting the fuse, she got the porcupine's attention by saying...
Oh, look. Look at that big, juicy bone inside of the cannon.
Where?
There's only one thing left to do.
You mean...
We gotta move.
With that, the tigers picked up the grass hut and months later set it down in the middle of the North Pole.
You know something, baby? It's cold outside.
Yeah, but at least we got rid of the porcupine.
But days later, they were up to their old tricks. They lived on walrus steaks and, just as before, threw the bones outside the hut. Needless to say, it wasn't long before a rare bone-eating penguin picked up where the porcupine left off. And so the tigers lived unhappily ever after. Now you see, boy, why I always say a happy home is a neat home?
Yeah, I can see that. But it seems to me it'd be better to say people who live in grass houses shouldn't throw bones.
Takes after his mother, he does.
And here he is, America's foremost authority on space, because his head is full of it, Mr. Know-it-all.
Today I will discuss how to fix a flat and retire your car. Most people will go a long way to avoid fixing a flat, to a service station even. There is more than one way to handle this unpleasant chore. For example, the Bullwinkle Van Moose method. Oh, drat. Now I'll have to use the spare car, that is. However, the wise motorist knows how to change a tire. This is a simple operation, and a reasonably intelligent 12-year-old can do the job. But since I don't see one, I'll have to take a crack at it myself. At this point, I'd like to demonstrate the first thing a motorist does when he has a blowout. He places the jack under the bumper, like so, and with an easy pumping motion, he raises the wheels off the ground. Well, if we can't raise the wheels, the only thing to do is lower the ground. We take off the hubcap, loosen the wheel nuts, and put them in the hubcap so we don't lose them. Only trouble is I keep losing the hubcap. Now we take the spare out of the trunk.
What's the matter, Bullwinkle? No spare?
Oh, there's a spare, all right, Rock. Problem is, it's a spare flat.
What does the motorist do in a situation like this, Bullwinkle?
I think that's obvious, Rock. He becomes a pedestrian.
Well, you can't get a flat tire that way.
No, just flat feet is all.
And now...
Hey, Rocky, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat.
Again?
Nothing up my sleeve. Presto! Ooh, don't know my own strength.
Now here's something we hope you'll really like.
In the northern region of Canada, at the close of the 19th century, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police held fast to their tradition of, we always get our man. Bleak, cold, lonely. Not a pretty place for a high-spirited girl like Nell Fenwick, daughter of Inspector Fenwick, commander of the post.
You, Dudley Do-Right's horse, are the only one who understands me. You know the longing, the boredom. If only once the Mounties would not get their man. If only once Dudley Do-Right would do wrong like some other men do. I need bright lights, laughter, gaiety. What I'm saying, horse, is that I want to go into show business.
But Nell, you know how your father feels about show business.
Oh, why don't you go out and bring in a man or something?
Very well.
Realizing that her father would never allow her to go into show business, Nell put on a mask and left the camp.
All right. Where the Wheel of Fortune stops, nobody knows. Next contestant, please. Name, please.
I am the masked Jenny Lynn.
Go ahead, Miss Lynn.
A rather unusual voice quality, boss.
I'll say this is our chance to go straight again. Look, they're all sound asleep.
Keen.
You have just won the Major Snidely Amateur Hour. You get the grand tour with all expenses paid.
It's the masked Jenny Lynn.
So Snidely with this masked Jenny Lynn swept the country. No town escaped the ruthless masked singer.
I really knocked him out in Toronto, eh?
Meanwhile, a man from one of the ravished towns wandered into the mounted police camp.
And, Inspector, you should hear this masked Jenny Lynn. Hoo-wee!
Pretty square, eh?
Like the squarest.
Don't worry. As you know, the Canadian Mounties always get their man. You see, here comes a mountain now.
Nell, I did as you said. I got my man.
Dudley, how many times have I got to tell you? This is a dog. This is a man.
Oh, all right. You're under arrest.
No, not this man. Oh, well, never mind.
This is about the squarest Mountie I've ever seen.
That's right, sir. Square shooting, Dudley Do-Right at your service.
Dudley, how do you feel about Lawrence Welk?
Only terrific, Inspector. That's real toe-tapping music.
I thought so. Dudley, I have a little job for you. You are the only Mountie square enough to carry it off.
That's me, Inspector. Square and true, eyes of blue.
I want you to bring in the masked Jenny Lynn. And I know you can do it because...
Ta-da!
The Mounties always get their men.
But this is a woman, sir.
Go, Do-Right.
And so one night in Saskatchewan...
Snidely, there's a Mountie out there in the audience.
Mountie, eh? Listen, baby, I want you to go out there and sing like you have never sung before. This will put him to sleep. Did you put in the cotton, Barney?
Yeah.
Okay, then draw the curtain.
Oh, sing it, baby. Mama's little baby lamb, shortening. Oh, do-do-do-do-do-do.
Snidely, he ain't sleeping.
Well, then what's he doing?
He's enjoying it.
Oh, turn out the lights and call the law right now. Do-de-do-do-do-do-do. Miss Lynn, I certainly do enjoy your singing, but, well, you see, I'm a Mountie, square and true, so I really must...
Dudley, I thought I told you to go bring in a man.
Nell, then you're the masked Ginny Lynn.
Surprise!
So Dudley brought Nell, Snidely, and Barney back to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Camp.
Well, Dudley, you finally did it. You brought in your man. Snidely Whiplash, the most wanted man in the territory of this glorious nation. But tell me, where's the masked Ginny Lynn?
Inspector, just wait till you hear her sing. She's a little old Florence Nightingale, that's what. And here she is, your own daughter, Nell.
Nell? I knew there was something missing around here. You mean, Nell, it was you?
You know, Father, how you've always held me back. Well, I got my break at last. I'm in showbiz. I'm a star. Just listen. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee.
Oh, sing that thing. Shortening. Mama's little baby love shortening. Mama's little baby love shortening bread. Sorry.
Well, in our last episode, the Frostbite Falls Flower Fair was upon us, and Bullwinkle and Rocky found themselves without a plant to enter. This was very embarrassing.
Naturally. You try walking through town without your plants sometime.
But they were stopped on the road by a pair of sharpers.
Say the name.
Who shall be nameless.
Phooey.
Who offered them a bean guaranteed to be descended from Jack's original beanstalk.
Bullwinkle, I'd think twice about this if I were you.
If you were me, you'd have to think twice. There'd be two of you.
Well, Flatlander, is it a deal?
Does that bean grow fast?
Just stick it in the ground and jump back.
How much you asking for it?
Well, I'm asking $100.
$100?
But I'll take 2 bits cash.
That's more like it.
And so our unsuspecting heroes bought the bean and set off for the flower fair and plant pageant.
Gee, I can hardly wait. Just think, a bean blossom as big as my ever-loving blue-eyed head.
Bullwinkle wouldn't have been so happy if he could have seen the 2 seed sellers at that moment.
He fell for it, Natasha.
Hook, line, and antler.
Oh, boy. Wait till that thing starts to come up.
Boris, this is the cheapest, most disgusting, nastiest thing you've ever done. Slimy, dirty, mean. Boris.
Yes?
You're my kind of guy.
The Frostbite Falls High School gym was a lovely sight that evening. Beautiful blossoms cascaded their multicolored forms in every nook and cranny. Giant prize vegetables gleamed in harvest splendor. There was only one little mix-up. Somebody had scheduled a basketball game for the same time.
Pass! The ball, stupid.
I hereby give first prize in the melon class to this magnificent cassava.
Jump!
Foul! Free throw!
This is terrible, Bullwinkle.
Yeah, we're trailing by 8 points in a Hubbard squash.
And now for the flower judging.
You better plant that seed quick.
Yeah.
And the moose did just that. Borrowing a large flower pot, he thrust the seed deep into the soil and jumped back. Nothing happened.
Suppose he sold us a dud?
But then the flower pot trembled, there was a furious rumbling noise, and...
Hokey smoke, Bullwinkle, look at that thing.
That's a bean blossom?
Well, it may not have been a bean blossom, but the curious plant was big enough and exotic enough to win first prize.
Congratulations, Bullwinkle.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
You certainly have a green thumb.
Yeah, it's spearmint flavored, too.
Tell me, Your Honor. Hey, where'd he go?
Don't ask me. He was standing right by the flower a minute ago.
Huh.
Well, let's take our enterprise winner home. Gee, it got heavy all of a sudden.
And what's more, Bullwinkle, it's getting bigger.
Yes, as Bullwinkle held the flower pot, the plant grew noticeably larger. Straining every muscle, Bullwinkle was just able to get the plant through the doorway, and even then, Rocky had to help.
Gee, I could swear that these leaves were holding onto the door frame.
Whew. Boy, I gotta put it down for a minute.
Hey, you can't leave that there. You're blocking traffic.
But, officer...
He's right, Bullwinkle. Okay, officer, well... Gee, where'd he go?
He was standing right here a second ago and... Rock?
What is it?
Does our flower look different to you?
Yeah. If it wasn't just a flower, I'd say...
What?
I'd say it was smiling.
Well, this begins to look more and more sinister. Don't miss our next creepy episode, Bean by a Blossom, or The Petal Pushers.
poem is called...
Hey, Moose, how come you always read poetry?
Well, it's my part of
You
the show.
think you are the only one with soul?
You want to read a poem?
Certainly. Today's poem got the title, How to Be Happy Though Miserable.
But...
Are you almost disgusted with life, little man?
But...
I'll tell you a wonderful trick. That brings you contentment, if anything can.
Give me...
Do something to somebody quick.
Oh!
Though it rains like the rain of the flood, little man, and the clouds are forbidding and thick, you can make the sun shine on your soul, little man. Do something to somebody quick.
Oops. But you got the words wrong. It says do something for somebody, not to them.
Well, after all, in poetry is not the words so much, it's the thought that counts.